Welcome to the Daily Stoic Reflections, where we dive deep into the wisdom of Stoic philosophy to strengthen our minds and our lives. In today's video, we're going to uncover a very powerful topic, recognizing the subtle signs of evil and manipulation in the world around us. Evil often doesn't come with flashing red lights, but instead, it hides in plain sight, cloaked in subtle behaviors and distorted truths. Trust me, this video is packed with insights that you don't want to miss. So, stay with me till the end to learn how to spot these signs and remain undisturbed in the face of adversity. And, if you find value in this content, please don't forget to leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with others who could benefit from this powerful philosophy. When we speak about evil, we are not always talking about the dramatic, the sinister, or the overtly villainous. Often, evil is elusive, subtle, and hidden in plain sight. It doesn't come with an unmistakable sign, nor does it shout from the rooftops. In fact, evil can be more dangerous because it's not always so easy to define or recognize. It doesn't always appear as the black and white image we're taught to fear. It hides in shadows, not in the dark corners of society, but in places where we expect peace, safety, and goodness. You see, evil is not always about the villain in the story. It's about the actions, the intentions, the manipulations that quietly disrupt, deceive, and harm. Evil isn't just some abstract concept we can easily box into a simple label. It's not just the bad guy that wears a mask or commits evil deeds with visible malice. Evil is subtle, it operates in the spaces where we least expect it. It's the quiet betrayal of trust, the unspoken manipulation that eats away at the fabric of relationships, the selfishness that disguises itself as kindness. Consider this: you might think evil lurks in dark alleys or in those who openly harm others. But often, evil operates where we least expect it, in the very places we call safe. Take your home, for instance. A place that should be filled with love, trust, and security. But what happens when trust is broken within the family? When a loved one manipulates, deceives, or takes advantage of your generosity? The damage isn't always visible, yet it can be deep and long-lasting. The harm that one person's selfishness can cause within a home can be just as destructive as any villainous act. Let's step outside for a moment, into a school, a place of learning, growth, and nurturing. And yet, this space too can house a different form of evil: bullying, manipulation, emotional abuse. A student who targets others, making them feel inferior, weak, and worthless. A teacher who subtly exploits their authority to manipulate or control. We rarely label these behaviors as evil, but when we step back and look at the bigger picture, we see how much damage they can inflict. And then we come to places of worship, sanctuaries of peace, right? But what if these sacred spaces, where we gather to find solace and connection, also become places where exploitation, hypocrisy, or control manifests under the guise of piety? It's an uncomfortable thought, isn't it? Yet, history and personal stories alike remind us that evil doesn't avoid sacred places. It finds its way in, often in the form of those who seek power, control, or influence over others under the pretense of holiness. Evil, in the Stoic sense, doesn't always wear the mask we think it should. It doesn't always come in the form of an evil villain or a dramatic force. No, in Stoicism, we learn that evil is recognized through actions, not labels. It's the actions that reveal true intentions. The small betrayals, the subtle manipulations, the times when people take advantage of trust or vulnerability. And that's the crux of Stoic philosophy, to recognize these behaviors with clarity and not be fooled by appearances. As we dive deeper into Stoicism, we see that our philosophy encourages us to maintain a calm and clear mind. The Stoic approach tells us that we can't always control the actions of others, but we can control our responses. So when we encounter evil in our lives, in whatever form it takes, we must do more than label it. We must see it for what it is, without letting it shake us or disturb our peace. The Stoics teach us to engage with the world around us, even in the presence of negativity, with equanimity, calmness and resolve. To observe the actions, understand the intention, and remain unshaken. So, let me ask you, how often do we allow ourselves to become caught up in the emotions that follow recognition of evil? How often do we get dragged into the drama, the conflict, or the desire for revenge? Stoicism teaches us that, in fact, the most profound form of power is the ability to remain steady, clear, and unaffected by the chaos that others might try to sow. Evil exists in the unexpected places, but it doesn't define us unless we let it. It's the challenge that invites us to grow stronger, to keep our inner peace intact, and to practice the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. When we understand that evil can exist even in the safest spaces, we become more prepared. We become more vigilant, not in fear, but in strength, knowing that nothing, not even the darkest actions of others, can disturb our inner tranquility unless we allow it. Now, I invite you to reflect on this. In your life, where have you encountered these subtle forms of evil? How did it affect your peace of mind, and how did you respond? Keep these questions in mind as we journey deeper into understanding the true nature of evil and how Stoicism can help guide us through it. Sign 1. Changing reputation. One of the most striking signs of a truly malicious individual is their desperate attempt to change their reputation once their true nature is uncovered. This behavior is not merely about denying their wrongdoings, it's about crafting a completely new narrative, one that distorts the truth to manipulate how others see them. It's an age-old tactic, and it's as effective as it is insidious. They will often attempt to erase the past, acting as though it never existed, and create a new story that paints them as misunderstood, as victims of circumstances, or even as someone who has undergone a complete transformation. They do this not for personal growth or redemption, but to regain control over the way others perceive them, and, by extension, regain control over the influence they once had. Think about someone who has wronged you deeply, perhaps a colleague who has repeatedly undermined your efforts, stabbed you in the back, or even taken credit for your hard work. You might have recognized their true nature, and once they realize you've seen through them, what happens? They don't come forward to admit their faults or apologize. No, instead, they start to weave a new story. They tell everyone around them how tough things have been for them, how much they've suffered, and how they've made drastic changes in their life. In other words, they play the role of the hero in their own twisted narrative, the misunderstood soul who deserves empathy and forgiveness. This is a common tactic. The manipulative individual works hard to build a new identity, one that contrasts with the previous negative perceptions, and they do so with remarkable skill. They might reach out to the same people they once wronged and put on a convincing act, promising that they have changed. The dangerous part? You might start to believe it. They present themselves as someone who's learned from their past mistakes, someone who's turned a corner. They make you question your previous judgment, and before you know it, you're doubting yourself, wondering if maybe they were right all along. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever encountered someone who seemed to have a change of heart just when their true nature was revealed? Maybe they suddenly turned from being the office backstabber into a new person, claiming to have seen the light and apologizing for their past behavior. They might even convince some around them, and perhaps they start to gain back the trust they once lost. But underneath it all, what remains unchanged is their core intention. They are simply playing a part, and they are doing so to manipulate the perceptions of others and regain their influence. This is where Stoicism comes into play. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on the truth, to recognize the world as it truly is, and not to be swayed by the surface-level changes others try to present. The Stoics urge us to maintain clarity, to see past the new stories people craft, and to stick to what we know to be true. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wisely advised, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What this means is that the true nature of a person cannot be hidden forever, no matter how hard they try to change their image. Their actions will eventually reveal who they truly are, and no new narrative can erase that. For example, think about a situation where a person has consistently manipulated and used others for their own benefit, but once their behavior is exposed, they suddenly become humble and start apologizing to everyone they wronged. They claim to have learned from their mistakes and promise to never repeat them. While some may fall for this transformation, Stoicism teaches us to see through this illusion. True change is not about words, but about sustained action and a genuine shift in character. The Stoic approach is not to be fooled by surface-level changes, but to stay grounded in our understanding of the individual's true character, as revealed through their actions and intentions. So, when you encounter someone trying to rebrand themselves after their true nature has been revealed, remember, it's not the new narrative that matters, but the actions that lie beneath. Stick to the truth of what you have observed and allow that to guide your interactions. The Stoics remind us that when we focus on the truth and resist being manipulated by fabricated stories, we preserve our peace of mind and maintain the strength to handle even the most toxic individuals. Sign 2, Strange Vibrations. Have you ever been in a room with someone and, despite the lack of words or obvious actions, something just feels off? You can't put your finger on it, but there's a sense of unease, a subtle discomfort that lingers in the air. It's like an invisible energy that disturbs your peace and invades your personal space. This, my friends, is what I like to call the strange vibrations that malicious individuals emit. It's a phenomenon that many of us have experienced, yet we often can't explain it. It's an energy or presence that affects your emotional state, but it goes beyond what the eyes can see or the ears can hear. These individuals, when they realize that their true nature has been seen, often shift their energy in a way that makes the people around them feel uncomfortable or on edge. It's as if their presence alone can disrupt the harmony of the room, even when they haven't said a word. You may feel a creeping sense of insecurity, a nagging feeling that something is not quite right. The strange vibrations they emit don't need to be obvious or even aggressive. Sometimes, it's as simple as an underlying tension, an unspoken hostility, or a subtle but palpable intimidation that makes you second-guess your own comfort. This behavior is no accident. It is a deliberate attempt to control the environment and intimidate others. The malicious individual may not necessarily raise their voice or act overtly, but they subtly shift the atmosphere to make others feel off balance. The goal is simple: to create an emotional disturbance within you. Whether it's through subtle glances, uncomfortable proximity, or passive-aggressive behavior, they want you to feel threatened or insecure. In their mind, this shift in energy gives them control, and they thrive on the power that comes from unsettling those around them. But here's the important lesson: you don't have to let these strange vibrations affect you. Stoicism teaches us to maintain control over our emotions and stay calm and detached, no matter how unsettling someone's presence may feel. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." What this means is that the discomfort you feel in the presence of someone emitting strange vibrations is not because of their actions, but because of how you interpret those actions. The vibrations are real, yes, but your reaction to them is what you can control. When you feel these uncomfortable vibrations, remind yourself that you do not have to absorb them. You can acknowledge them, recognize them for what they are, a manipulative attempt to control your emotions, but you do not need to let them dictate your behavior or state of mind. The Stoic approach is to stay grounded in your inner peace, to remain calm even in the face of subtle intimidation or discomfort. By not reacting emotionally, you rob the manipulator of the power they seek to gain through their subtle control. Imagine being at work and sensing a colleague's subtle hostility or passive-aggressive energy. Perhaps they don't directly confront you, but their actions, the way they avoid eye contact, make backhanded compliments, or invade your space, leave you feeling uncomfortable. The wise Stoic would observe these strange vibrations without reacting. They would acknowledge the discomfort but would not allow it to influence their emotions. Instead, they would focus on their own response, maintaining their inner tranquility regardless of the external tension. In this way, the Stoic path teaches us not only to recognize the strange vibrations that malicious individuals give off but also to rise above them. By mastering our own emotional responses, we prevent others from using their disruptive energy to manipulate or control us. And remember, the power lies within you. When you remain calm, centered, and detached, you become immune to their attempts to throw you off balance. Sign 3, lying to cover past lies. One of the most dangerous traits of a malicious individual is their ability to weave a tangled web of lies, a web that only grows larger and more intricate as they try to cover their tracks. When caught in a lie, their immediate response is not to come clean, but to tell another lie bigger, more complex, and often more convoluted than the first. This behavior is not just about deception, it's a calculated attempt to maintain control and avoid accountability for their actions. Each lie they tell is a new thread in the web, and they become trapped within their own deceit, unable to escape. But the most alarming part? Their lies are not simply meant to hide the truth from others, they are designed to manipulate and control how others perceive the situation and, ultimately, themselves. Consider a scenario where you discover that a colleague has been dishonest with you, perhaps about a work-related matter. They told you one thing, but the truth eventually comes out. Instead of admitting their mistake, they quickly fabricate another story to cover up their original lie. They might blame someone else or shift the blame to circumstances beyond their control, making the situation more complicated and harder for others to follow. It's as if they expect you to accept this new narrative without question, and they're counting on the confusion they create to weaken your ability to see the truth clearly. This cycle of lying becomes an endless loop. Each new lie is intended to mask the previous one, and the liar becomes so deeply entangled in their fabrications that they can no longer separate fact from fiction. It's a dangerous trap, not just for the person being deceived, but also for the liar themselves. The more they lie, the more they distort reality, not only for others but for themselves as well. The web of lies they create not only damages their credibility but also corrodes their own sense of truth and integrity. They may even come to believe their own lies, further deepening their delusion. But how do we, as Stoics, respond to this? Stoicism encourages us to confront the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or painful it might be. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." In other words, the key to wisdom and clarity is to remain open to the truth, no matter how difficult it may be to accept. When faced with someone who is lying to cover up their past lies, the Stoic does not get caught in the drama of deception. They focus on the truth, not the web of confusion the liar has tried to create. For example, imagine that someone close to you, perhaps a friend or family member, has lied to you multiple times. Each time you catch them in a lie, they concoct a new story to explain away their actions. Instead of reacting emotionally or becoming frustrated, a Stoic would take a step back and focus on the facts. They would not get distracted by the new lies or allow the liar's attempts to manipulate their perception of the situation to sway their judgment. The Stoic would stay grounded in reality, choosing to confront the truth directly rather than getting lost in the lies. Stoicism teaches us to resist manipulation, to maintain a clear and calm mind in the face of deception, and to always seek the truth, no matter how painful it may be. By focusing on the facts and not the ever-changing stories, we protect ourselves from being manipulated. We don't let the liar's web of deception control our emotions or actions. Instead, we stand firm in our commitment to truth and integrity, remembering that our own peace of mind and sense of self are built upon honesty, not deceit. When someone lies to cover up their past mistakes, it's a reminder to us of the importance of living with integrity and remaining true to ourselves. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. And by choosing the path of truth, as the Stoics urge us, we free ourselves from the chains of deception and manipulation. Sign 4, only approaching when they need something. One of the most revealing signs of a toxic individual is their tendency to only reappear when they have something to gain from you. These individuals, who once displayed malicious or selfish behavior, suddenly act as though they've had a change of heart, but only when they're in need of something. Perhaps it's money, a favor, or simply your time and attention. After their true nature has been exposed, you might think you've seen the last of them, but they always find a way to re-enter your life, but this time with a new, more urgent reason. Let's imagine a scenario where you've recently had a falling out with someone you once considered a close friend. They betrayed your trust or manipulated you in the past, and you've decided to cut ties. For weeks, even months, you don't hear from them. Then, out of nowhere, they reach out with an urgent request. Maybe they need a loan, help with a project, or want to rekindle the relationship, claiming they've changed and that they're in a difficult situation. You may feel that old tug to help them, but when you look closely, you'll notice something important: they never reach out when they don't need something. They're not offering anything in return or genuinely seeking to repair the relationship. They've just identified that you might be useful to them, and now, they want to use your kindness or generosity for their own benefit. This pattern of behavior is not only frustrating but also emotionally draining. It's as if you've become a resource to be tapped into only when it suits their needs. It shows a lack of respect for the relationship, as it's one-sided and built on manipulation. The emotional roller coaster they subject you to can lead to feelings of guilt or confusion. Why do they only turn up when they're in trouble, but never when things are good? Why does their affection seem so conditional? But this is exactly where Stoicism offers us invaluable wisdom. Stoic philosophy teaches us to recognize these manipulations without becoming emotionally attached to them. The Stoics understood that we cannot control others' actions, but we can control how we react to them. When toxic individuals approach us only in times of need, we must recognize this for what it truly is: a manipulation. They are not seeking a genuine connection or reconciliation, they are simply exploiting us for their personal gain. By practicing emotional detachment, we can view these situations with clarity and make decisions based on reason, not emotions. For example, when someone who has repeatedly used you comes back asking for a favor, a Stoic response would be to assess the situation without getting caught up in the emotional pull. You may feel sympathy or guilt, but you should not let these feelings override your understanding of the person's true nature. This doesn't mean being cold or unkind, it simply means being realistic about the relationship. The Stoic approach is to recognize the manipulation and maintain your integrity, rather than allowing yourself to be drawn back into a one-sided dynamic. Imagine someone who has hurt you before, reappearing in your life with an apology and a request. Instead of reacting impulsively, you take a step back and reflect on the bigger picture. You remember the past behavior, the way they only reached out when it suited them, and you recognize that their true intentions have not changed. By choosing not to emotionally attach to their request, you maintain your peace of mind and avoid falling into the trap of manipulation once again. The power of Stoic philosophy in these moments lies in our ability to remain grounded, to recognize toxic behavior for what it is, and to make decisions based on wisdom, not impulse. By learning to detach from the manipulations of others, we regain control over our emotions and actions, ensuring that we are not exploited by those who seek to use us for their gain. In this way, Stoicism empowers us to protect our boundaries and maintain relationships based on mutual respect, not manipulation. Sign 5, making you feel stupid. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who, despite your confidence in your own judgment, somehow manages to make you feel small, foolish, or unsure of yourself? It's as if they're planting seeds of doubt in your mind, slowly eroding your self-esteem and making you question your own perception of reality. This is one of the most subtle and insidious tactics used by toxic individuals, making you feel stupid in order to gain control over you. These individuals understand that by making you feel less capable or intelligent, they gain power. They'll undermine your thoughts, belittle your ideas, or twist your words to make you feel like you're the one who doesn't understand. They may dismiss your opinions or question your decisions, all while masking it as concern or helpful advice. The goal is not just to disagree with you, but to create self-doubt, to make you feel like you can't trust your own judgment anymore. This, in turn, makes you more reliant on them, more willing to seek their approval, and ultimately, more susceptible to their influence. Let's take an example. Imagine you've been working hard on a project and are proud of the results. You share your work with someone, perhaps a colleague or a friend, and instead of offering constructive feedback or praise, they begin to pick apart every little detail, questioning every choice you made. Are you sure this is the best way? Maybe you should have done it differently. Suddenly, you start questioning everything you've done. The confidence you once had in your abilities starts to crumble. This is how they work. They don't outright attack you, but they make you doubt yourself, and in doing so, they weaken your sense of self-worth and autonomy. But this behavior is not something we need to internalize or allow to control us. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our inner strength, to remain firm in our judgment and convictions despite the efforts of others to shake us. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." This wisdom reminds us that the opinions of others, especially those whose intentions are to manipulate or diminish us, do not define our worth or truth. When someone tries to make you feel stupid or question your judgment, it's important to step back and recognize this for what it is, an attempt at manipulation. They want to make you feel dependent on their approval, to make you doubt yourself so that you will turn to them for guidance. The Stoic response, however, is to remain anchored in your own reasoning, to trust in your ability to assess situations, and to recognize that no one else has the power to dictate your self-worth unless you allow them to. For instance, let's say you're in a meeting where someone tries to dismiss your idea or undermine your contributions. Instead of internalizing their criticism, take a deep breath and remind yourself of your value. Focus on the strength of your thoughts and the reasoning behind your actions. Understand that their words are a reflection of their own insecurities or agendas, not a reflection of your ability or intelligence. By staying grounded in your own inner strength, you deny them the power to manipulate your emotions or diminish your confidence. Remember, the Stoics encourage us to examine our reactions. They remind us that our peace of mind comes not from the approval of others, but from the strength we cultivate within ourselves. By maintaining our inner clarity and not allowing others to diminish our self-worth, we become impervious to their attempts at control. The more we practice this detachment from external judgment, the more resilient we become in the face of manipulative behavior. When you are faced with someone trying to make you feel stupid or inferior, take a moment to pause and reflect. Recognize that this is not about your abilities or judgment, but about their attempt to gain control. Trust in your own reasoning, stay grounded in your inner strength, and remember that no one has the right to make you feel small unless you allow it. By practicing Stoicism, we learn to rise above these tactics and maintain our peace, no matter what others may try to make us believe. Sign 6, acting unaware of their wrongdoing. One of the most frustrating tactics employed by toxic individuals is their ability to act completely unaware of the harm they've caused, even when confronted with it directly. It's a classic manipulation strategy. When their actions are exposed, they pretend as if they had no idea they were doing anything wrong. They might look you in the eye, feign surprise, and ask, "Why didn't you tell me this sooner? I had no idea my behavior was affecting you like that." They shift the responsibility away from themselves and create a false narrative in which they are the innocent party, avoiding accountability at all costs. This behavior is particularly insidious because it tries to turn the tables. Instead of owning up to their actions, they make it seem like you're the one who has misunderstood, overreacted, or even been too sensitive. It's a way of deflecting guilt and making you doubt your own experience. By acting unaware of their wrongdoing, they aim to blur the lines between right and wrong, weakening your ability to trust your judgment or recognize the truth. Imagine a situation where a colleague has consistently ignored your input on a project, undermined your contributions, or taken credit for your work. When you finally confront them, they might act shocked and say, "I had no idea you felt that way," or "I didn't think my actions were having that much of an impact." It's as though they are playing the role of the unknowing victim, while you are left questioning whether you're being unreasonable for bringing up the issue. Their goal is to shift the focus away from their actions and onto your emotional reaction, making it seem like the problem lies within you, not their harmful behavior. But this is where Stoic philosophy offers a powerful response. Stoicism teaches us to remain firm in our beliefs and not to let others distort the truth. The Stoics understood that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we react to them. When confronted with someone who is trying to pretend they are unaware of the harm they've caused, a Stoic approach is to stand strong in your truth and not allow them to gaslight you into doubting yourself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This perfectly encapsulates the Stoic approach to these situations. Even if someone tries to deny their wrongdoing or twist the narrative, it's up to you to recognize the truth and not be swayed by their manipulation. By staying grounded in your own understanding of the situation, you don't give them the power to alter your perception or diminish your sense of self. For example, if someone you care about has hurt you repeatedly but denies the impact of their actions when confronted, you don't need to question yourself or apologize for your feelings. You can calmly assert the truth of your experience, while maintaining your inner peace. You don't have to engage in a back and forth argument or try to prove your point. The truth stands on its own, and by holding firm in your beliefs, you protect your emotional and mental well-being. In these moments, it's crucial to remember that their attempts to act unaware are just another form of manipulation. They want to make you feel like you're the one overreacting or misinterpreting the situation. But Stoicism teaches us that we don't need to seek validation from others, especially from those who aim to distort the truth. Instead, we draw our strength from within, from our ability to see things clearly and remain resolute in our understanding. So, the next time someone tries to act as if they didn't know they were causing harm, take a step back, reflect on your own experience, and stay firm in your perception of the truth. Don't let their denial or manipulation shake your confidence or your sense of what's right. The Stoic path is about maintaining inner strength and clarity, no matter how others may try to distort reality. By doing so, we free ourselves from their toxic influence and preserve our peace of mind. Sign 7, Manipulation. One of the most dangerous signs of toxic individuals is their ability to manipulate others, often exploiting your vulnerabilities to control your actions and influence your decisions. Manipulators are masterful at identifying areas where you are most susceptible, whether it's your desire to please others, your fear of conflict, or your emotional sensitivity. Once they recognize these weaknesses, they use them to their advantage, subtly steering your behavior to suit their own needs, often without you even realizing it. Imagine a situation where a friend or colleague always seems to need your help, but never offers support in return. At first, you're happy to help, as you care for them and value the relationship. However, over time, you start to notice a pattern. They ask for favors when it's convenient for them, but when you're in need, they're nowhere to be found. What's more, they make you feel guilty for not being more accommodating, saying things like, "I thought you cared about me," or "You're always so helpful to others, why not me?" These manipulative comments play on your desire to be liked or seen as a good person, making you feel like you owe them something. This manipulation is subtle, but it's powerful. The manipulator is not looking for genuine connection, they're using your vulnerability to make you feel obligated, to guilt trip you into doing things that go against your own best interests. They want to maintain control over your actions and decisions, and they will stop at nothing to achieve that. They may even make you question your own worth, pushing you to question whether you are being selfish or unreasonable for not complying with their requests. But Stoicism offers a clear path to counteract this manipulation. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we have full control over our responses and actions, and by maintaining self-awareness and setting firm boundaries, we can protect ourselves from being exploited. The Stoics remind us that we must know our own values and limits, and we should not allow anyone, no matter how skilled they are at manipulating us, to cross those lines. Take, for example, the case of someone who constantly tries to guilt you into giving more than you're comfortable with. A Stoic approach would be to calmly recognize this manipulation for what it is, an attempt to exploit your kindness or sense of obligation. By being self-aware and understanding your own needs and limits, you can recognize when you're being taken advantage of. Setting firm boundaries doesn't mean being cold or unkind, it means having the strength to say no when necessary and to protect your own well-being. A Stoic would not be swayed by guilt, nor would they feel pressured into making decisions that compromise their integrity or peace of mind. Instead, they would calmly assert their boundaries, knowing that it is within their right to protect their time, energy, and resources. By maintaining self-awareness and clarity, you can stop the manipulator from exploiting you, refusing to let them gain control over your emotions or actions. For example, if someone continuously pressures you to take on more than you're able to handle, a Stoic response would be to politely but firmly decline. You would communicate your limits clearly and without guilt, recognizing that doing so does not make you a bad person, it simply reflects a healthy respect for yourself and your resources. The more you practice self-awareness and boundary setting, the less power manipulators have over you. The key takeaway here is that manipulation thrives on our vulnerabilities, but by staying grounded in our own values and beliefs, we can protect ourselves. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others' behavior, but we can control how we respond to them. By setting firm boundaries and remaining self-aware, we create a strong defense against manipulation, allowing us to maintain our peace and autonomy in any situation. So, there you have it, 7 signs to help you recognize the true nature of toxic and manipulative individuals. Stoicism teaches us that no matter how others behave, we have full control over how we respond. We can't always change the people around us, but we can protect our minds and stay grounded in our values. Let's take this wisdom into our lives, remain calm in the face of chaos, and focus on what we can control. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Stay strong, stay calm, and keep reflecting. See you in the next video.